very interesting meeting. We had a battery of the President's advisors. What I think is particularly interesting that he would make no commitment to disciplining other members of the Parliament for use of similar language. I called, as everybody now knows, Herr Schulz a fascist. I believe him to be so. So we asked the President and his advisors, would they ban the use of the accusation fascist to any other members in the future? We couldn't get a commitment to that. I was asked again for an apology. I said, would they be interested in looking at the films that we had of Mr. Danny Cohn-Bendit and Herr Schulz abusing other elected members of the chamber? Would they like to watch it? They didn't want to watch it. Again, they asked me for an apology, and I offered a compromise to them, which I thought was a reasonable compromise, and that is, if they could get Herr Schulz and Mr. Danny Cohn-Bendit to apologise for their behaviour in the chamber in recent debates under the very same presidency and chairmanship, I would consider making an apology myself, which I thought was a very good British compromise. Sadly, this was also rejected, so I've left Mr. President upstairs, scratching his head with his advisors, pondering over the articles which had me expelled, which are of course are completely ludicrous and illegal, and I'm afraid so we haven't made a great deal of progress, although I have to say there was no personal animosity between me and the President whatsoever. I feel he's a rather nice man, totally and utterly out of his depth, but there we are.
And so are you, let's just get this on the record, you're saying that the decision to expel you from the voting was to not take part in the vote, you're saying that was...
That was completely illegal under their own rules. You can only expel a member under the rules of the House if they are disrupting the session. And all you need to do is look at the recordings of the actual session for when I was expelled. I was sitting there quietly, waiting to vote on behalf of Yorkshire and North Lincolnshire, whom I represent. And I wasn't disrupting the chamber at all. The disruption of the chamber came from my political opponents, mainly on the left, namely socialists and the Greens, who were disrupting the chamber. And then, of course, Mr. Edward Macmillan Scott, who I have to say is another man desperately out of his depth, very nice man, but desperately out of his depth, actually appealed to the mob, and we had a head count and a vote, and I was ejected. All this is completely and utterly illegal, I rather think the President and his team know it, which is why they're now scratching their heads upstairs, wondering what to do. If they continue with any disciplinary action, I can assure you I shall be taking it further. I shall take it to the Parliamentary Ombudsman. But what is, I think, vindicated when I suggested that Herr Schulz was a fascist, and this place, in my view, is neo-fascist as an institution, if I'm punished for speaking out, it will have vindicated my position absolutely 100%.
Are they saying that they're going to take disciplinary action? What have they said to you in the meeting?
Well, they've just had me and my legal advisor, Michael Greaves, and, of course, on the outside they're being threatened and cajoled by political lobbyists within the chamber, largely from the socialist side. And don't let's forget, Herr Schulz is going to be the next president of the Parliament, so I don't know how that is for putting the fox in the hen coop, but there we are, we'll have to see. But I think we'll all get a lot further, and I think it would be interesting for the press not to listen to what I have to say on my particular view. I think it would be appetite for them to look at the tapes that we have of Mr. Cohn-Bendit and Mr. Schulz in their tirades against other members of the chamber to see if there is not here one rule for scepticism and one rule for Europhiles, which I think there is a complete misapplication of the rules here in political favour. So I would argue that let's have a look at the tapes and let the press and the people make their own decision about this. I don't think it's very difficult.
If you're saying that the decision to expel you from the chamber was illegal, are you then going to take any action against the Parliament?
I shall certainly take it to the Ombudsman. I think much good that will do me. I think the dice is stacked against any Eurosceptic in this chamber. But yes, I shall certainly not let it rest here. And I think any impartial legal court, any reasonably sensible judicial review body would find in my favour. And I think when the press, even if the press don't like me particularly, I know a lot of the press don't, but I would argue when they actually look at these things, they will say, just a minute, something rotten in the state of Denmark.
So how's it been left, Godfrey? You've had your sort of, how long did it last? About 10 minutes?
It was 15 minutes, actually.
Yeah, so you sort of made your comments, as you've just explained?
Yeah, pretty much.
How has it been left exactly? What's happening?
Well, they're thinking about it. The President's thinking about it. I believe the President generally is a man who feels he's in between a rock and a hard place, and I think that's making his life extremely difficult. The legal case, their own regulatory case, is pitifully thin, and they know that. So they're sort of, they're trying to find a way out, and I tried to help them with this compromise, that if Schulz and Cohn-Bendit apologise, so will I. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Did they mention any possible sanctions you've got about suspensions or allowance?
They'll probably, what they did last time, I've been fined before, they fined me 3 days attendance allowances for holding up a banner wanting a referendum.
That was on the Constitution.
That was on the Constitution. That was 3 days pay. I don't know what we get this time, the maximum is 10 days pay.
Is it? Yeah, 10 days, yeah. Or suspension, is that?
No, they can't suspend me from, certainly they suspended me for the day, they suspended me for the voting session, which is absolutely extraordinary that you can be suspended from a vote for what you say in a debate. I mean, that is really quite an extraordinary demonstration of how thin the veneer of democracy is in this place, and how thinner, in my view, it's going to get.
And you mentioned that Parliament, you mean the European Ombudsman, do you? Is that who you mean?
Yeah.
That's the one you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Would he take a case like that?
Well, I don't know, but if a directly elected member of the European Parliament is prevented illegally from voting, or is nobody interested? The BBC clearly aren't interested.
Right. So you're waiting. What did they say?
Well, they're coming back to me. They will let me know their decision. They didn't give me a timetable, so we'll have to see.
Right. Okay. Watch this space. Yeah.